Hey guys, it's Miss Katz, and today we're going to talk a little bit about histograms. Yesterday we worked on frequency tables, and when you found those frequency tables and you identified those frequencies, now that we have that information, how do we display that? That's what we're going to talk about today. So a histogram is a special type of bar graph used to display numerical data grouped in equal intervals. So the students of Monster High took a survey of the ages of everyone attending the Ghouls Rule movie. The results are displayed in the histogram below. So if you look here, notice it's got a title, the ages of people attending a movie. It's got headings on each side. This represents the total number of people, and these are the age ranges that they fall in who were asked the question, who came out of the movie theater after the movie was seen. So there were 3 people who were between the ages of 0 and 9. And one thing about a histogram is you're going to find, I can't tell you exactly what age they are. I just know that 3 people were in this age range, somewhere between 0 and 9. Okay? Notice that the next bar picks up at 10, right where 9 left off. And here there were 4 people between the ages of 10 and 19. They could have all been 10 for all we know. We just know that there were 4 people there. So how many people from ages 10 to 19 attended the movie? Well, that equates to 4. How many people age 50 or over attended the movie? Well, 50 or over. That includes this one, which is 1, and this bar, which is 2. So there were a grand total of 3 people who were over the age of 50, 58 or older. How many kids younger than 20 attended the movie? Well, there were 3 in this bar and 4 in this bar. That makes a grand total of 7, because these 2 bars represent all the kids who were yet less than 20 years old. How many total people attended the movie? Well, we've already tabulated these few bars, so let's take a look at this one. This says 6 people, and this one has 8 people. So how many total people attended the movie? Well, that's 7 plus 6, which is 13, plus 8, which is 21, plus 1, which is 22, and 2, which is 24. There are 24 people, 3 in this category, 4 in this age range, etc. What does the gap at the interval 40 to 49 mean? Oh, sorry guys. The gap there means that there were no people ages 40 to 49 attending the movie. Can you tell whether a 25-year-old attended the movie? The answer is no. We can tell that somebody in their 20s attended the movie, but I can't tell you that one of them happens to be 25 years old. And the reason is that we don't get specific values, only intervals, meaning that we don't know exactly the ages of the people in each group. And in the particular, let's look at the one where the 25-year-old would be. So we know that there were 6 people between the ages of 20 and 29 that attended the movie, but we don't know for sure that one of them was 25. They could be any of those ages, and they could be duplicates. Why must the bars on a histogram always be touching? Unless, of course, there's a gap in the data. Because the data is listed continuously. Data is continuous. In other words, a 9-year-old would be in this data right here, and then we jump right to a 10-year-old. There's no space here. These bars represent the intervals as they go across. All right. So let's take a look at determining intervals. So the other day we talked about how intervals had to have 3 things, right? They had to be equal. They had to include all data. And they had to be non-overlapping. Okay, so whatever we choose as our intervals for any set of data, we are going to make sure that they're equal, they include all the data, and they don't overlap. So if we were going to do the intervals, say, for 3 to 6 to 46, I'm actually going to make a little change here, make that a 1. We want to make sure that each interval, so if we're talking from 3 to 46, we're talking about maybe 1 to 50. That's what we have to incorporate. And when we do that, we're probably going to count by tens. So there'll be 10 numbers in each interval, all the way up to 50. Now, if we go up to something where the data ranges from 1 to, say, like 249 or 250, again, I'm going to change this to a 1. It should be a 1. When we do that, we are going to look at counting maybe by 50s instead, because the data is so big, we don't want to have these intervals that only have a couple of data points in them. If we do something so small, like between 4.1 and 5.4, that's a really small window. So here I'm counting by 2/10 of a point each time. And then, so if we're going to do from, say, 52 to 964, I would go from, say, 1 to 1,000. And if we do that, we might want to count by hundreds. So we might do from 1 to 100, from 101 to 200, etc. All right? So organize the data in a frequency table. That's going to be step number 2. So once we decide on those intervals, we're going to take our data and make a frequency table using the intervals that you decided. So if these were the pages read per student last week, the data ranges from the smallest number, which looks like 15, to the highest number, which appears to be 188. Okay, the scale will go then from probably 1 to, let's say, 200. So we can use the interval. I would go with 50 here. Let's count by 50s. So if you notice when we do the frequency table, 1 through 50 is going to be in the first. Sorry, let me move that up. And 51 to 100 will be in the second, and etc. And all we did to get these little tally marks was we took the data. So 78 fell in this range. So that's this guy right here. And 15 was in here, and 40 was in here, and 19 was also in here, 188, 50, 122, 96, 37, which is what makes this little cross, and 102. So that accounts for all of our data. Then we simply count up the frequencies. So we gave our intervals, we tallied it up, and we count the frequencies. There are 5 people who said that they read between 1 and 50 pages last weekend. 2 people who said that they read between 51 and 100 pages last weekend. 2 people who said they read in this interval, and 1 person who read the max there. All right. If you flip over, you're going to see that that exact same frequency table has been repeated so that it's in our, we can see it. Okay. And so the first thing we have to do to make the actual histogram here is we're going to give it a title. So this is pages read per student last weekend. Okay, and what we do to make the histogram is we're going to label our things. So here, this is going to be the number of people. Actually, sorry, this is going to be the number of pages. Sorry, pages read. And this is going to be the number of people who read that many pages. So we're going to now put our intervals. We're going to do 1 to 50 to here. And the next one, we need 4 different intervals. So this is from 1 to 50. We're going to label them. 51 to 100, 101 to 150, 151 to 200. All right. And then what we're going to do is mark off here. So the biggest number we had of people who chose something was 5. So we need 5 different numbers up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so there were 5 people that read between 1 and 50 pages. So we're going to go to 5. I usually tend to write a little dot here to help me connect everything. And there's that one. And there were 2 people who read between 51 and 100. So we're going to go over to 2 and up. Okay. And then there were 2 people who read between 150 and 150, or 101 and 150. And in the last category, there was 1 person. So we're going to put that one here. And there you have it. Remember that the bars must be equal in length, and must be touching. Actually, I think that's really they must touch. Let's go with that. And label both axes. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I totally lost track of where the page was. So let's look at that one more time. The page is read. Here's the title of your histogram. The number of people is going on the y-axis, and the number of pages read represents the x-axis. These little intervals at the bottom represent the groupings that we did in our frequency table above. And then all I did was draw out my frequency table to reflect the frequencies that we collected. And again, remember that the bars must touch and to label both axes. All right. So I'm going to have you pause your camera right here. Let me pause the video right here. Pause. And I want you to try to complete the histogram on page 14B. And I will, when you're ready, come back and we will do it together. All right, so hopefully you just paused your video and you had a chance to get your stuff together. We're going to take a look at what we're going to do here. So in order to begin this, to make our frequency table, first we need to talk about how many songs are on your phone. So number of songs on your phone. Okay, so that was the question that was asked. That's the title of my frequency table. Now before we decide, we have to look at what's our lowest number in this set, and it looks to me like 2 is our lowest number. And then we want to look for the highest number of songs that we can find on here, and I think we're talking about 225, if I'm not missing anything. So our data has to go from 1 to 250, okay? And to make that happen, I think since there's 5 different intervals here, we're going to count by 50s. So this will be 1 to 50, 51 to 100, 101 to 150, 151 to 200, and 201 to 250. That'll incorporate all the data in our set, and now we can actually tally up our frequencies. So what we're going to do is we're going to go one number at a time. 50 goes in this category, and 33. 100 falls in this range. 202 is going to be over here. 114. And you know me, there's a good chance I'm going to make a mistake here. If you find it, I'm going to put you on my list for Jolly Ranchers when we get back to school. 123. Notice I'm crossing them off as I do them so I don't lose my place if somebody comes in or interrupts or anything. I can pick up right where I left off. I won't get confused as to where I am. 111 goes in here. 132. 156. 210. 43. 65, 66, 83, 90, 15, 140, oops, it goes like that, 199, 134, 56, which goes here, 14, and 2. Now we just count up our frequencies. So there are 10 tallies that come into the 1 through 50 range. And I highly recommend, by the way, that you do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. There are 29 pieces of data. So I'm hoping when I'm done here that we get 29 things. So I'm just putting my numbers down and let's count them up. So 10 plus 6 is 16, plus 6 is 22, 25, and 29. So we did fine. The title here is the number of songs on your phone. Notice that it matches the same title that we had in our frequency table. And now we're going to label. So this is going to be the number of songs, and this is the number of people. Let me make sure you can see all this stuff as I'm doing it. All right, and then we're going to start marking off our stuff. So we know we've got 5 intervals, so I'm going to break this up into 5 chunks. Try to make them about equal because they represent an equal number of numbers. 51 to 100, 101 to 150, 151 to 200, and 201 to 250. And then the most number of people were 10. So I'm going to count by 2s. 4, 6, 8, 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now we do have a 3 in here, and 3 will just fall between 2 and 4 on our list. All right, so now we are literally going to go one bar at a time. 1 to 50 had 10. So I'm going to go to 10, and I'm going to fill it in, and here's my bar for 10. For 1 to 50, 51 to 100 went to 6. So I'm going to make my bar. And then the next group was 6 as well. So we're just going to continue that. And then the next group was 3. So I'm going to, again, come between 2 and 3. It's right about here. There's 3. And last but not least, we had 4. So we're going to go to 4 and finish it off. And remember that your bars must touch and to label both axes. And that is how we make a histogram. Now, reading it is pretty easy. Where is the mode? The mode would be in the interval of 1 to 50. That was the most number of people chose something in that interval. We can't find a median or a mean here because we don't have all the specific data if you're just simply looking at the histogram. The range, we don't know that either because we don't know if the numbers that are in this particular bar represent 201 or 250 or somewhere in between. So we really don't get a whole lot of information, but you can see trends. So the majority of people had only between 1 and 50 songs on their phone. A few people, as we got further, had more than that. All right, guys, that's a brief overview of what a histogram looks like and how to make one and what it tells you. So now I want you to take the time to go back and take care of the IXL assignment that is posted online. Have a great day, and I hope to see you guys soon.